No, it's a black screen.
That's my skin color, man.
What'd you do? Cover up the...
Oh, that's why, yeah. I got a little device here.
So that if anybody like quick FaceTimes you, it automatically covers it up.
It's more like if somebody hacks into my computer, nobody can catch me jerking off. Except the NSA.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't mind if people watch as long as they don't send it out live.
Well, we might. That's where the extra money is. So I'm doing this cool thing right now, by the way. Can we share some of the insights with some other people, like put it on YouTube and make some content?
Right now?
Well, I got to edit it, but yeah.
I would rather wait until I got this haircut so that I can look good on there. But
dude, you look beautiful now.
I don't mind. I really don't mind anything. It's just as long as you let me know ahead of time so I don't say anything about anybody that go on record.
Yeah. Well, we'll just edit anything out you don't like. So check it out. For anybody who is watching, for all the 6 viewers on YouTube right now, is Tavious has worked for a number of successful coaching programs. And so he's got not just the how to grow it from 0 to sometimes in excess of $1 million a month, which some of the programs he's worked for are doing now, but the inside scoops of how they build their teams, their whole philosophy for what they do for people. And he's going to share some deep insights right now on when people have success and don't have success, what works for them and what doesn't, because I was sitting here like this when he told me, just twiddling my fingers in excitement.
Yeah. So what is it that you want to know?
Well, you mentioned earlier that you had some really, because of your unique vantage point for having worked for like a number of the really like kind of celebrity programs, if you want to call them that, within our niche, is you've got to see, not just how those businesses are built, but how they affect the people who go through them, right? As the clients go through it and the results they get. And you mentioned there are a lot of scenarios where you see people go through and then and they have like tremendous successes. They win, they get their return on investment. And then there's cases where, they don't, or they have specific reasons why they didn't work. And you were going to kind of go into some details about why that is.
Well, the biggest reason, the number one reason, obviously overall, where stuff doesn't work is they don't take action. And I have seen people who have spent money and literally didn't ask for a refund, just never came back, and just $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 just sitting in someone's pocket, and the person's gone. Still reaching out to them, things like that. But outside of that, it's a lot of people are scared of the emotional investment, and so they go more towards the dream part of it. Meaning that the person says, oh, I can get you this, I can get you that. And it's never necessarily the connection. And the biggest difference at the end of these programs is the people who have the biggest success are the people who were connected to the person that they were either talking to or connected to the person who's running the program. And that type of connection made them want to do work. And so at the end of the program, it's like, let's just say they go through your program. There's 2 types of ways they can go through your program. Yeah. And at the end, when they're ready to talk about their experience, they can say, oh, well, Frankie's he's a good guy. I learned a lot. I made some good money. I made my return. And yeah, maybe you should work with him. That's means that at least the business is working, right? It did its job. The person's not mad. It's not upset or happy. Then there's the people who at the end of it go, Frankie is the best. Like, even let's take out the amount of money I've made. I've been, I connected with him, the way he's helped me personally. My life is enhanced. My marriage is enhanced. All these great things about I've learned about meditation. I've learned about, my self-improvement, everything that's got about me. I make more money now, less work, doing less work. I have a team of employees. Like, you see how different and how vibrant that kind of testimony is. And that's the big difference between when people are really starting with programs is how committed are they to you and to themselves to make it happen, and how committed are they to the money? If they're committed to the money, they're going to make the money or whatever their goal was. It could be $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month. Now they've hit that goal and they're okay. If they're committed to their family, then when they go in, they're going to do whatever they need to do to get their family up and running. But if they're committed to all of it, meaning you, the process, what you want to help them, and they're doing it for their family, then that brings on such a more powerful meaning, because they're always going to be striving to do better. Because as you're doing better as the owner, as the coach, or as the trainer, they're going to always want to go, well, what is he doing? I want to mimic that, because they're going to see what you're doing in your family. They're going to see you traveling and doing things, and they're just going to always go, I want that, and I want to do that. And I just really feel like a lot of people don't really take into consideration, is this a person that I really can lean on? Or is this a team? Because I don't believe you should just work with any one person. I believe you should work with a team of people, and that person may have a team to work with. But are they going to enhance my life? If I did not make a return on investment, would I be happy with making this investment? And if you can provide that kind of value, it's nothing else you can really do, like, to be honest. Like, if you can make them feel like they would never spend another dollar with anyone else, even though they may have to. But that's the big thing. So work ethic, motivation, all those things are great, but depending on how they're developed when they join the program and when they come in will be why they do it and how often they do it. And the difference between the people who will stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning and the difference between people who will say, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then values, there's so many people, there's so many trainers and stuff out there, and I'm not going to put out any names. You'll see, they'll say grind 24/7, 7 days a week until you reach your goals and your dreams. And I've never been a proponent of that. And those people will grind you, and then you'll lose family, friends, and things like that along the way. So if you look at your mentor's lifestyle, and their lifestyle is peace and fun and tranquility, and they have a happy marriage and a happy life and things like that, then you're going to want that, and you're going to be more inept to do what they say. Hey, do this. Okay, well, you don't need to be doing that. You're making this much money a month. Take this away. And you're going to be more adept to do it because you want that same lifestyle. You don't want to grind 7 days a week, 24/7 for 5 years. You have kids, you have wives, you have relationships, or you want to have that. And that suffers during that time frame while you're grinding. So I think people need to more take in tune the mentor or the team that they're working with. And you'll see on the other end of it how much you're willing yourself to give that glaring testimony to the person that you work with.
I feel you. And obviously we know, trust the second person. They're much more believable than the first. The one who gave the badass Frankie Finn testimonial, they're much more believable.
Exactly.
But for real, that is unique insight because, obviously, I think too many people get really caught up in the short term of, especially like when I deal with other people, their number one question is, how can I get a client? How can I make some money? And they don't realize that if you don't look at the totality of the process, then you'll be signing up people who may be a pain in the ass to you, who may even say negative things about you later, and maybe undermine what it is you're actually trying to do. And if you get really caught in that short term, you can actually create like a number of problems for yourself. But if you stay within that integrity and focus on, what's really real in that, like you mentioned, you can have some people who basically become raving fans of yours with money.
Yeah. And that's that is a huge thing. People get caught up, and that's why, like, everyone always asks, well, how can I get my money back? Or what happens if I don't get a return on investment? It's because that's the biggest thing. Either they've been burned before, or they're just scared to part with it because they've struggled, or they don't have as much, or maybe that's all they have to really go all in with. And they're so focused on how can I get this back right now that they don't realize a lot of times you can literally put yourself back in the same situation where it's like, okay, well, how can I get my return on investment? And then you go in, and your first month with this person, you may make $20,000. You're like, greatest person ever. But that's their strong point. Their strong point is getting you those first few clients.
Yeah.
But then what happens in month 2, in month 3? Now the next month you only get 1. Now your profits drop, 80%. And now you're just managing and you're just getting by. And so a lot of people really do get caught in that. And I think you have to look at, if I was doing this all over and I was ready to invest in someone, a team, a course, a program, a mentorship, anything, I want to know where what are the steps that we're going to get so I can be sustainable at my goal? If my goal was $30,000 a month, what can I do to be at $30,000 a month where I still have time with my family and still have time with my friends? Can you outline that for me? I don't care if it takes me 3 months, 6 months. And some people will tell you, you can make $30,000 in this first month. You probably can, but that doesn't mean you're going to make, it means you can make $0 the next.
Yeah.
I'd rather be sustainable at 30 than to have a $70,000 a month and then a $0 month. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you ask mentors or if you ask people the questions of how, and you don't have to need every detail, but you got to say, how do I keep this sustainable? If they can give you like the platform for that, then you're in the right place, because those are the people who want you to scale, and they're looking at your long term, how to improve your life, and not the let's get you your money back so that I don't have to worry about you refunding.
Yeah, totally. That is some genius insight. You got any other more nuggets you want to drop on us while we got a minute?
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What type of people am I talking to?
Well, it's a very similar crowd to the two programs that we've mentioned previously, which I won't mention on air just because we are going to post this publicly, and for privacy reasons, they may not want to be mentioned. But this type of client, what are some of the big challenges you see in people that you think if they made a few shifts could easily overcome? Like, I mean, you've seen some really big success stories, and you've seen people who get mediocre results, and you've seen people who never get there. So, like, what are some of the big differences you see in, the things that cause people to get results?
Okay. So now I think I first started to realize, because when I first started doing these, and I really just wanted to sell, I wanted to help change people's lives, but I never really got in depth of why or how the program that I was selling for was doing it. And it was one guy who I talked to, and I'm not going to get into the full depth story if we want to talk about it another time, but it's my favorite client ever. I have his baby his middle name is named after me. And, that just goes to show how, crazy of a past he had before. He couldn't have a kid. They were working way too much. His wife was depressed because they couldn't have a kid. I ended up getting him into a program. They ended up making enough money where his wife can retire. They have a family now, and their kid has a middle name. And the one thing that I started to realize from him on is that there has to be something higher than money. So for anybody that's willing to join, that wants to join your program, of course you're going to help them make a lot of money. Of course you're going to help them improve their life, but they themselves have to have a higher calling. If money is your motive, you're going to get it and you're going to fizzle out. And that is just, it happened to me. It happened to me when I first got into this world. I've never before made $10,000. I made $10,000 and I spent $8,000 of it splurging on dumb. I had no higher commitments because I had no wife. I had no kids. I don't have anything else to commit to.
Yeah.
The reason why I got...
For the listeners, he means hookers and cocaine, obviously.
It wasn't necessarily.
Okay. It was more cocaine than the hooker. Okay.
But when they started to realize what everyone else was doing, and they were doing it for their families, and they had the higher reasoning, I wanted a higher reasoning for myself. And the moment I started to go, my future family will not want for anything. My future wife, my future kids, they will never have to ask or never have to worry about anything. I have now committed myself to not only self-improvement, meditation, but implementing everything. I have been through so many programs, so many multi-level marketing programs, so many coaching programs, so many stuff that I never did, but I had no reason because I wasn't committed enough. And money is not enough of a motivation. It isn't. Even if you're so desperate, like you're on your last dollar and you just need to pay the bills the next month, it's still not enough to be consistent, because after you have enough money to pay your bills, you're finally relieved and relaxed from the problems that's been stressing you. There has to be something higher than money.
Yeah.
Now, money may be what makes it happen. If you want a house for your family because there's 3 kids inside of this 1-bedroom apartment, so money you need to get a house, but it's for your family you're doing it for. So when you wake up and you do your morning routine, which if you don't have one, you should, you're starting to think of, why am I doing this? And when you go to sleep, you think of, why am I doing this? And I still don't have a wife and kids, but when I wake up and I do my routine, I go, why am I doing this? And it's the difference between me staying in bed like I can and playing video games or watching TV, and actually getting on the grind and doing the work and seeing who I can help. And you got to have something. So one, and I talked a lot on that, but number one, you got to have a reason that's higher than money. Second is you got to hold yourself accountable and responsible for everything that's happened in your life up to now and what goes forward. Now, there is a huge difference, and I try to help my friends understand this. There's a huge difference between fault and responsibility. Mm-hmm. It may be someone else's fault. It was not my fault I grew up poor. I was a kid. It wasn't my fault that my dad left me. I was a kid. But it's my responsibility to not have that harbor and keep me from the greatness that I can achieve. It's not your fault that you may have invested money and then that person never delivered. It may not necessarily be your fault that something happened in your whole job got shut down and you're out of, your unemployment. Fault is not the problem. It's responsibility. Do you blame everyone else? Do you blame, the reason why I have it, you got it better. Frankie, you got it better because you have a silver spoon. You're better off because you already have money. Responsibility goes, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what happens. Now I need to correct it. And so many people will sit up here and not want to join you because they're not wanting to take responsibility for the fact that they may not have done the best they could have with these other coaches. They may not have been best they did in any other course. They might not even do the best they did at their job that they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And so taking responsibility for where you're at this moment, forget the past. If you never took responsibility for the past, don't worry about it. If you take responsibility for everything that happens to you right now in this moment from here on out, you will, just by that alone, you'll start to make the right decisions. And even if you make the wrong decisions, you'll learn and you'll fail forward. And when they join with someone like you, they can only have success because they're taking responsibility. And when you're telling them to do something and something is or is not working, they're not blaming you or anyone else. They're going, okay, it's my fault that I did this. How can I fix it? And when you take responsibility, the only thing you can look for is solutions. Nobody takes responsibility without solutions. They make excuses because they don't want a solution.
Yeah. That's some deep shit right there.
I think I even made a post about it. Like, for instance, people want to blame, if you like any sports, if anybody watches this and does sports, look at how many times people blame refs or it's rigged. Look at how many times, like the Houston Rockets last night lost to the Warriors and they blamed the refs, but they were 7 for 44 shooting threes.
Yeah.
Think about that. If you take responsibility for the fact that, okay, we did not do our job from shooting threes, we should have either got away from that game plan or shot better like we could have, you automatically win if you just did your average. They win that game easily. Or if they change their game plan to something that's more suited. Yeah. That's what happens when you take responsibility. When you don't want to take responsibility and you want to make excuses, you're going to blame everyone else, and you'll never get better at that. You'll never get better when you make excuses.
I feel you, brother. That is interesting. I've definitely experienced that myself, especially in the beginning where the types of clients we attracted, when we first got good at enrolling people, it was like we were so excited that we could get people to give us money that we didn't think, should we?
Right. Yep.
And so we, our qualifications were anyone with a wallet. And what happened is we would get some people in there that just frankly shouldn't have been there. And I can actually remember like the worst client we ever had. There was a guy who he specifically wanted to talk to me after he got closed by our sales guys. So I called him up and I got put on hold for like 7 or 8 minutes. And they're like, thank you for calling the such and such law firm. We value your business. And the way we're going to show it is by making you wait on this stupid voicemail.
Yep.
So at the end of the 8 minutes, it transferred to the receptionist who said, thank you for calling such and such law firm. How can I direct your call? And then it clicked and hung up. And so I had to call him back, and I waited another 6 or 7 minutes to go through it. And then I got through to him, and we talked about, like, okay, how can we make this mutually successful? And I said, well, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to make your phone ring, but if you don't fix that stupid fucking voice greeting and connect it to a human being, people aren't going to wait. Like, strangers aren't so committed to your law firm that they want to jump through a 15-minute hoop to talk to you, right? So remove that barrier, or nothing we're going to do is going to work for you. And he said, yeah, went and did it. And then we generated a bunch of phone calls. And he said, all your phone calls are bad. They're bad leads. And I went and said, called him up. I said, did you fix your voicemail greeting? I listened. He still wanted people to wait 15 minutes to go through. And it's like, you learn from experiences like that, having people who are responsible and see it as their, their success and are looking for solutions makes a huge deal of difference. I couldn't agree with you more, brother.
Well, actually, that really goes right into my third. I'm glad you said that. I think the third and the most important thing is be the client that you want to attract. Every client that went through and had great success was, reason being is because they attracted the clients that they wanted. What do you want? You want people who are decisive, who make decisions, who do what you say, and that way they can get results. If you feel like you are great at what you do and you can provide results, then all you want is clients that are going to do it. You don't want a client that's taking their time to get back with you, taking their time to make decisions, because that only delays their progress and it delays their results. So if you want those type of clients, you have to be their type of client. And I've seen so many people who I'll talk to and they'll call me every week. Okay, I'm going to get in next week, and I'm going to get in next week, and I'm going to get in next week. And guess what their clients are saying? I'm going to get in next week. I'm going to get in next week. I'm going to get in next week. And then I go, you want to change it? You want to change it? Literally just invest. I guarantee by just investing, your next month, you'll get way more clients than you did. You don't have to do anything else. Just invest. Put your mind in the framework of someone who's actually done it, because right now you're trying to get people to do something you've never done. Your business should be letting people do what you do yourself. You can't get people to invest in you if you've never invested in anyone. It will never work. It just doesn't happen. And so next thing you know, they invest. All right, cool. And they invest. And then tomorrow they'll be like, I got 2 people, man. Why? Because your phone, everything changes when you are the type of client that you want to attract. And when you're not, if your clients are all really needy and really want so much of your demand, are you doing that same of everybody else that you're around? It could be your family that you're demanding, your wife that you're demanding, your husband, your spouse, whatever it is. You're just going to attract what you are. So be the client that you want. If you want a client that just tries their best to do something and then leans on the mentor, try to figure it out. Go through the program, go through whatever it is that you have to do, and then lean on the mentor. If you want a client who just literally, hey, look, all I want to do is be able to tell them what to do and they do it, then be that type of client. So if you're scared to invest, understand your people will be scared to invest. It's just natural science. And that's the biggest, if there's one thing anybody can take away from this, be the client you want to attract. Everything else will fall into place because of the fact that if you be the client you want to attract, you're going to attract clients that are awesome, and they're going to make you want to give them more and do better for them because they're awesome. And if you're always learning and doing better, you're doing the best that you can, then you learn and then you do better. And if you get clients that are leaning on you the same way that you want them to, you're going to always want to do better. Yeah. So be the client you want to attract. That's one of the biggest things that I can say for anybody who's in any, and this is in any business, in any life, in anything that you want to do.
Amen, brother. I'm going to call that a recording there because these are some deep, deep nuggets. And thank you just for being awesome.
No problem, man. Anytime.